Right. Right.
See that one out there? Hey, come on, Harry, come on. There's skin and hair flying out there.
What are they fighting with? Double-barrel rolling pin?
I'm not kidding you. They're dead serious.
You're telling me, and I don't want to get mixed up in it. I've no stomach for women fighting.
Oh, come on, Harry, come on.
Hey there, lass, you better stop where you are. Here, you're not going, are you?
Yeah, I wouldn't let you lower myself. Still, it's your party to blame for what's happened. Perhaps I'd better go and see if I can put things right. Come on, Dora.
Here, what do you mean?
There never have been no good. It's a well-known fact. People have been talking about you for years.
Oh, I'd expect you to know something like that. Every lying bit of gossip that goes about what you don't know you make up. We don't need sewers around here. We've got Ina Sharples.
I got something wrong with a woman that can't hang on to her husband.
I've listened to you talking as long as I can. But this time, I've held myself back out of respect for your age. But this time, I'm going to land you one, so help me.
That's right. Go on. Strike a poor old defenceless woman. That's just about your level, Elsie Tanner. But before you raise your hand and damn yourself forever if you haven't already done it, you'll listen to me for a minute or two. I know all about that letter, and personally I haven't the slightest doubt that everything in it is naught but God's own truth. You think on this, Elsie Tanner. I know plenty about you. I know plenty about you that you don't think I know. I could have written a full-length book about you, let alone a letter, but if I had written it, it wouldn't have come anonymous. Oh, no. I've never been afraid to stand behind my own beliefs. If I had written the flaming thing, it'd have had Ina Sharples in big black letters at the bottom of it. Well, you know it.
One of Elsie and Ina's classic slanging matches as we all remember them, in the street, in full view and at full throttle. Hello and welcome to an edition of the Coronation Street collection that's been 20 years in the making. Elsie and Ina were frequently at each other's throats, but like me, those of you who've been fans of the street over the years will know that there was more to them and their relationship than met the eye. Elsie certainly had a soft side, and even Ina's apparently hard heart recognised the need for happiness in people's lives.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Plenty of seats up front. Yeah, I know. Could I have a word with you, Mrs. Sharples, please?
Me?
Yeah. Mrs. Longest, would you mind if I sat there just for a minute?
Oh, what do you like us like? I'm sitting here, half paid.
You mean I have? Go on, you're missing note.
Oh, I don't want to know your little secrets. Makes no odds to me, I'm sure.
Right, what's all this in aid of?
Can I ask you a straight question?
As long as you can take a straight answer.
What do you think of Christine and Frank Barlow going out together?
I think it's no business of yours, not anybody else's, and they could do without being scandalised first thing in the morning on a 64 bus.
Do you think they should be given a chance then,
I
do
think they
you?
should be given a bit of peace if they want to muck their lives up. That's their affair.
That's all I wanted to know. Can you be around at our house tonight? I need your help.
Oh, well, I never refuse to help to anybody that asks for it. Right, I'll be there.
Good. And this is just between us two, right?
Right.
Aye, and about time and all.
I'm sorry, Frank, but she's not home yet. You see, one of us had to stay late to get ready for tomorrow's stampede, as it were.
Oh, well, that's all right, Elsie, love. I'll see you later on, and ta-ra, love.
Frank.
What, love?
Just a sec. Now, before I start, don't go up in the air. It's just about Chris I wanted to talk about.
Not you at all, Elsie. Good night, love.
Oh, listen, Willie. You've known me long enough to know that I never sit in judgment on anybody.
All right, go on. What about her?
Well, do you like her? I mean, are you really serious about each other?
I don't know what all fuss is about. I mean, there's no harm, is there, in taking someone to pictures and that once in a while?
Hang
Look,
on.
I'm going now.
No, hang on. I know what it is.
Oh, good evening.
Oh, good evening. Yes, well, I'll be on my way then now, Elsie.
I won't bite, you know.
No, I know that, but I was going anyway, you know.
Just a sec before you go. Answer me that one question, you know.
Well, it's just that we're both on our own, you know. Me and this other person you were talking about. Well, I'd better be getting along.
Yeah, go
now.
on. I won't keep you, Frank.
Yes, I'll find my own way out.
Yes.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'd say they both got it bad, him and that other person you were talking about.
So do I. Mrs. Sharples, I want a bit of gossip spreading.
You
Will you let me finish?
Bright start you've made.
Yeah, all right, let me go on. Now, look, they like each other, don't they? And the whole street's against them, right?
Go on.
Well, we don't know whether they would get together, Chris and Frank, but they'll never get the chance to find out if the whole street starts wagging their tongues all over the place, right?
Why do you keep on saying right? We're not on parade ground.
All right, but you and me, Mrs. Sharples, are going to attract attention away from Frank.
Oh, we are we? And how are we going to do that?
Sit down. You and me, Mrs. Sharples, are going to put it around that Chris has got another boyfriend, not Frank.
Oh, what? Who?
I don't know. We'll make one up.
Don't get the drift of this.
Well, it's quite simple, really. You see, Chris doesn't give a toss what people say about her, but Frank does. And if tongues start wagging again, before he thinks twice, he'll chuck her.
On which we are both agreed would be a pity.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, we must let Frank in on this.
I got that'd shut the street, it wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Christine Hardman gets a new boyfriend. Hey, we'll get some fun out of this.
Yeah, we will enough.
We'll get one her own age to start with.
Yeah, that's right. I'm with you there.
A nice young lad with a bit of brass in the bank.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, we can make up all sorts. He'll be a right Bobby Dazzler before we've finished.
Will you give over? I'm beginning to fancy him myself.
And with Mrs. Sharples on board, it didn't take long for both of them to spread the news.
Hey, what's this I hear about Christine Hardman's new boyfriend?
Well, it's the first I've heard.
Yeah, well, I think it was Elsie Tanner what told me.
Was it now?
Oh, hello, love. I was just saying about Christine's new boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. You've met him, haven't you, love?
It's news to me.
Oh, you surprised me because them as I've talked to, they're just full of it.
What's he do, Elsie? What's his job?
Oh, he's got a very good job. A very good job. Organising things.
Oh, what does he organise?
Well, I did know it. Just,
Come up now, Mrs. Lynn. Right, love.
Well, have a very good time, love. Enjoy yourself, won't you?
Hey, look, I was asking, what is it he organises?
Fruit. That's what it is, Mr. Tatlock. Fruit. He organises fruit, yes.
Oh, fruit. Well, how in the name of thunder does he organise fruit?
Well, yeah, how would I know?
Well, I hope it all works out, anyway.
Yeah, well, she deserves a bit of happiness.
Well, do you mind if I go and get in this for Kenneth, Mrs. Sharples?
Oh, first come, first served, I suppose, but don't be all day about it.
And how are you, Mr. Sharples?
Same as I was when I saw you down the street 10 minutes ago. You heard the news, then?
No, I was out at 1 o'clock. Was it good?
Are you trying to be funny?
Well,
It's
yes,
Christine
I was.
Hardman I'm talking about.
Oh?
Well, that'll make you pin your ears back. She's got herself a new boyfriend. Nice,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. Don't happen to know who it is, though, do you?
Oh, boss of some business or other.
Oh, the fruit business, Mrs. Sharples.
Eh?
That's what is in the fruit business.
Who told you?
Oh, a friend, you know.
You don't say.
Oh, yes, he's a lovely lad.
Is that a fact? You've met him then?
Oh, well, no, but I know somebody who has.
Would you credit it?
Yeah, it's a small world, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Well, it is.
Oh, if I don't stop laughing, I'll bust summer.
What do you want me to tell you about Florida Linders?
Go on, I'll risk it.
Well, Ken Ball, I wanted to know what this young lad did, you see.
Oh, you didn't tell him, did you?
I didn't, but Florida Linda did. She said he was in the fruit business.
I wonder where she got that from.
Well, hang on a bit. She not only said she knew, but she'd seen somebody who'd met him.
She didn't.
She did.
Well, would you credit it? Oh.
Well, some folk will believe out you tell them, providing you wrap it up well enough.
Well, do you know, love, I think you've done very well indeed.
I don't think you've done so badly yourself, you big kid.
Oh, what's it, Joe? Oh, nothing, Mrs. Sharples and I were just talking over old times, weren't we?
Oh, well, Lucille's got something for you. We fell over each other in doorway, didn't we, love? She won't give it to me.
Well, what is it, love?
Oh, my mum sent the money for the blouse she got off you at the sale.
Oh, thank you very much, Chuck.
Hey, I've heard the news. What news, love?
Will you just take these pots into the
Hey,
store?
I want to have a word with you, young woman, outside.
But I've not done that,
Come on,
Mrs.
I said
Sharples.
outside.
Where's she gone?
Oh.
Lucille, she's gone without telling me that news, Elsie.
Oh, well, you know what kids are. You know, they're full of bits of news that... I'm just going round to the Rovers. I'm going to see a man about a dog. Ta-ra!
Well, what kind of a match was it, eh? Oh, terrible.
You're around there this night, Mrs. Taylor?
Yes, I wondered, is Mrs. Sharples in the snow, do you know?
Yes, she came in a minute or so
Oh,
ago.
I wonder if you'd asked her she'd be so kind to come in here. I'd like a few words with her, please.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Turner.
Oh, Mr. Tatlock.
Yes, love.
Hey, have you heard the news about Christine's new boyfriend?
What?
I said, have you heard the news?
Yes, I know what you said, but, you know, you've told me once already today.
Oh, I'm going daft, aren't I?
Yeah, and Mrs. Sharples mentioned it only a couple of minutes since.
Oh, did she? Oh, well. Oh, excuse me, will you a minute, Mr. Tatlock? Did you manage to shut Lucille up?
All right, you've no to fear from that quarter.
Oh, I've been looking for you, Elsie.
Oh, hello, Frank. What can I do for you, love?
Hey, there's a rumour going around that Christine's got herself a new boyfriend, and I wonder if you know out about it, like, seeing as she lives with you.
Well, yeah, but you see, it's like this.
Yes, I see, all right. I'm always the last to hear about anything. Well, thanks very much.
Now, Frank, didn't you tell him?
Did I echoes like? Didn't you?
A thump.
Maybe not quite the result they were hoping for. Perhaps it was just as well that Elsie and Nina didn't join forces too often. Anyway, they shouldn't have been too surprised because even Mrs. Sharples was capable of getting hold of the wrong end of the stick from time to time.
They're out.
Oh, I see.
She's at work and they've gallivanted up downtown to pictures. I could give a message.
Oh, no, it doesn't matter.
It wouldn't be no trouble.
Oh, no, thank you. There's no need to bother.
You see, Wednesday's the only day she comes home for a dinner, you know.
I see.
Would you like to leave me a name and I'll tell you you was knocking?
Oh, there's no need for that. I can call again. Well, thanks very much. Ta-ra.
Not a fancy man, indeed. She must think we've just come over. Oh, that Elsie Tanner, she was just the same during the war. Skirts up to here. Have you got any gum, chum?
There's no harm in chewing gum.
Never said there was, but there were other things.
Don't tell me, I don't want to hear.
I wouldn't soil my lips, but I'll tell you one thing. She bought clothing coupons off me, and she never got the money from that for what she earned out of munitions, and don't you tell me she did.
Aye, there were some as went short of nothing.
You know, one night when the raids was on, she'd come tottering into the shelter with a yank on one arm and an air raid warden on the other. And do you know what they did?
Oh, don't tell me if it's anything like that.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, they started singing community songs. I soon put a stop to that. Yes, Elsie Tanner, I said, you'll be rolling out the barrel down there if one of them bombs has got your name on it. All I can say is, thank God the Germans never got here. I should hate to see one of my neighbours collaborate. And she would have done, make you no mistake about that. What you having, same again?
Aren't you going into work this morning?
Of course I am.
What you sitting there for, like a plum?
Oh, I could spit in her eye.
Oh, my dad's girlfriend?
Oh, blow her. Ina Sharples, that's whose eye I could spit in.
Well, what's she done this time?
It's not what she's done, it's what she's been around saying.
What?
I'll be quite within the rights of a lambda one.
Mum, stop going on and tell me what it is she said.
Well, look, I go into the pub last night for a quiet drink, and what do I hear?
Well, go on.
That old bag sitting there telling all those other old biddies that I've got a fella.
Well, have you?
Oh, what do you think?
Well, you've had him before, haven't you?
Oh, that's you all over. You get me to tell you something, you go on and on for me to tell you, and then you can't even be bothered to listen, can you?
She must have got the idea from somewhere.
I know where she got the idea from, all right. Seeing your dad coming in and out of here and put two and two together. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't mind. But your dad. As if I'd have anything to do with a thing like that.
What did you say to her?
Didn't say anything. I just had to control myself. I wouldn't lower myself. I just walked out.
That's not like you.
I know. But if I'd have stayed, I'd have said something. Oh, I could batter her, I could.
I wouldn't worry about it. Nobody takes any notice of what she said.
It's all right saying that, but you know what? If that sort of talk gets around, what happens?
What are you going to do about it?
I don't know. But I'll fix her somehow. Just you wait.
Hey, have you seen it? What? Tonight's paper?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
Oh, is there going to be another war or something? I only read the memorial.
Oh, well, I'll read you something out of tonight's personal column. Listen to this. I, Mrs. Elsie Tanner, give due warning that I will, from this day onwards, take legal action against anyone uttering slanderous statements against me good name. Now, whatever can people have been saying about the poor soul?
Slanderous statements against my good name. Well, go to the foot of our stairs. Who do you think's been saying things?
Well, who do you think?
Hey, I haven't the foggiest.
Who does all the talking round here?
I couldn't rightly say.
You couldn't rightly say. You must have cloth ears.
Evening, Elsie.
Gin and tonic, please.
Gin and tonic.
Hello.
Hello.
Is it still as cold out?
Perishing.
I'm about due for a bath, but I keep putting it off and putting it off. It's the sort of weather that makes you want to stay dirty, isn't it? I saw tonight's paper.
I just hope somebody else has, that's all. That matter could break something.
Well, you've put the announcement in now.
Yes, I know. It's making me feel such a fool.
Oh, nonsense. Of course you're not.
Oh, when I saw it in cold print there, I, Mrs. Elsie Tanner. It makes me blood run up and cold when I think about it.
Well, you've done it now, haven't you?
Of course she's got to take legal action. I mean to say, whoever's been doing the talking is not going to take this lying down now, are they?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't know. I've never been one to get mixed up in other people's business.
It'll be in front of a judge and jury before you can say donkey stone, and I shouldn't be a bit surprised if a certain person who is sitting not 10 yards away from here weren't to be brought up from the cells in handcuffs.
Oh, never say that.
I am saying it.
Do you mean Martha?
I make no mention of names, but there's a certain woman as comes in this snug, and you know who I mean when I say she looks like a weasel in specs, as has got a big mouth.
Oh, did you hear what she said just then? Right.
Now, don't do enough, you'll be sorry for Martha.
Even a worm can turn, you know.
Nothing like a nice old saying, is there, Minnie?
I've been keeping me ears cocked.
Right, well, I'll remind you of another one. Listeners hear no good of themselves.
You'll excuse me interrupting you, but...
Oh, don't worry, Elsie. This lady's just going.
This lady's not going anywhere till she's had her say. Well, do you mind if I get mine in first? I trust you've seen this evening's paper.
I have that, and believe me, Elsie, you have my pity. I don't want
Shut up, you, and I'm warning you. If you don't learn to keep that flaming lying gob of yours shut, you're for the high jump.
Oh, nice language. Beautiful. Somebody never went to Sunday school. And what exactly am I supposed to have said?
You know.
I want to know what I have been saying.
More than enough.
Well, it's a free country, you know. All right, I will say something. Something I've kept to myself. Kept in the bosom of my forgetting heart for years and years.
Well... Come on, let's be having it.
For years and years, I've shut my eyes and ears to the goings-on at number 11 Coronation Street.
And what exactly are the goings-on you refer to?
Oh, yes, well, you might flush her. We all know what your war work was. From 1939 to 1945, number 11 Coronation Street was just Liberty Hall. It was always a surprise to me that come VJ Day, them Yanks didn't take it down stone by stone and rebuild it in the United States of America.
Have you anything more to say?
Yes, plenty. Cast your mind back to VJ Day, madam. Cast it back. 2 Yanks held the ladder up to the front of your house while you toddled up and hung out a banner that said, God bless Monty and the boys. Never in the memory of God have I known such downright sarcasm, and don't talk to me, I'm talking.
Now listen, I'm doing the talking, and I'm telling you this. Is it true that you've been putting it around that I've been carrying on with a fella?
But you are, aren't you?
Not that it's any of your business, but just for your information, that happens to be my husband. It is my silver wedding next year, and I also have my marriage lines to prove it. More's the pity.
Good night, Ina. Oh, and Ina, you've got a dewdrop on the end of your nose. Same again, girls.
Elsie, of course, did her fair share of jumping to the wrong conclusion. Cast your mind back to the row we saw at the beginning. As you'll remember, it was all about a letter that Elsie thought Mrs. Sharples had written, but this time it was Elsie who had to eat humble pie.
Hey, ma'am, I was just wondering, not that it makes any odds to me one way or the other, but are you going out tonight or stopping in? I mean, it makes no difference to me at all. What's up?
Where did this come from?
Well, I don't know.
I don't want to know where you put it, but where did it come from?
I don't know. It came in the afternoon post.
It's one of them. I can tell by the postmark.
One of what? Oh, I see.
Wait a minute. I know this writing. I've seen it before somewhere.
Well, you could always open it up and see what it says, can't you?
It's gone on the back of the flaming fire, and that's all it's fit for.
Hey, what are you doing? It could be something else. Well, that's the best yet. So that's who wrote it.
Who wrote it? Dennis, who's it from?
Listen. Dear Elsie, Nora has just told me about the letter she wrote you, so I'm writing to apologise. She didn't mean any harm, but she's been a bit run down lately, and seeing that my solicitor still hasn't heard whether you'd applied to make the divorce absolute, she got the needle. Anyway, she's very sorry. She says she didn't mean anything personal. I know things were never all that good between us, but for old time's sake, I hope you will forgive her. Hope you're all keeping well. I'm fine. You know me. Regards to Linda and the baby, and Dennis, I hope he's mending his ways. Yours faithfully, Arnold. There you are, ma'am, a love letter from me dad. I'll tell her, Linda. I like that bit. I hope he's mending his ways. That's charming, that is, coming from your own flesh and blood. And a fat lot of room to talk he has.
Well, would you credit it? Your fancy, father's flaming fancy bit. Nice, sweet little girl he's got hold of, the bad-minded little bitch.
Look, I can't stop long, because I haven't gone down to the Rovers and I can't leave.
Come in here. Your ever-loving do-out father sends his regards.
You what?
I suppose you'll be going out tonight now that all the excitement's died down.
What are you minding about, Dennis?
Well, I'm wondering if you're going out, you see. I'm just thinking of you.
Yes, I'm going out to Dorothy Greenhalgh's. You know, she was as blazing as I was when I got that first letter.
So you don't mind, then, if someone comes to stay the night? You see, Lenny Phillips has asked me to look after
no, you can bring who you like. I won't be back till after 12.
Good.
Oh, the cheeky flaming muck midden.
Who?
The both of them, by cracky, has picked her right in there, haven't they?
Aye, and that's what I thought. Oh, that's it then. Your father's fancy piece. Hey, would you credit it? I could choke them, both of them, I'm not kidding.
You're not letting her get away with it.
Well, I don't see how I've any option. Do you? If I kick up a song and dance now, the divorce will take ages coming through. Elsie the flaming lemon. He wants burning, her and all.
At least he did say he was sorry. Hey, and you'll have to and all.
What are you talking about?
Say you're sorry.
What have I done all of a sudden?
Oh, everything but Strangelina Sharples. You'll have to tell her you're sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Go on, man. Play the white man.
Yeah, I can see me running there now, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to, ma'am. She's done now.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. But I'm not going to fall all over him, mind you. I'm just going to apologise. Might keep a trap shut for a bit.
I could take that woman to court and she'll be chopping stones from tomorrow morning till the day she draws her pension.
Oh, perhaps she didn't mean anything, Ina.
Mean anything? blackening the innocent character of an innocent old woman that's never said a wrong word about anybody.
Well, sometimes people are very hot-tempered, Ina. I know. What do you know? That sometimes people are very hot-tempered, Martha. Sometimes I have a very quick tongue. When? When I get me mad up. I have been known to swear. What? Using bad language? Well, not very bad. Who to? Oh, only to myself, under my breath.
Oh, we'll see what happens in the course of law. There's plenty of witnesses.
Oh, no, Ina, there are no witnesses.
Of course there are witnesses. Everyone with ears standing within 5 miles of the street was a witness. And they weren't only standing on the street, they were gawping through the windows. I wonder they didn't charge admission.
Oh, no, Ina, no one's never heard anything. What are you talking about? We all heard it. No, I only do it under my breath. I wouldn't like anyone to hear. Hear who? Me. When I'm doing my swearing. You know, sometimes, Martha, I don't think you listen. Well, Minnie Caldwell, you'd make a bishop swear, you would. We was talking about Elsie Tanner. Oh, you're Ryan. Oh, nothing wrong, Mrs. Tanner. There are some folks that don't say bad about nobody.
You can tell this woman I've got nothing to say to her. She can do all her talking before judge and jury.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Tanner. Ina says she's got nothing to say to you, and if you've got anything to... Oh, it's all right, love. I heard it the first time. As a matter of fact, I've come to apologise.
Oh?
Yeah. I found out who wrote that letter.
Oh, yeah, have you?
Yes, and I'm very sorry for all the trouble. All right?
No, it's not all right. I've got my good name to think about, you know.
Well, I've apologised. I can't see what I can do any more.
Oh, well, I'll mention it to my solicitors.
You can mention it to whom you like, but I've said I'm sorry, and I mean it.
Mind you, one thing I will say. That nasty letter you got, it didn't say now that wasn't true, did it?
Touché. But when things really did go wrong, such as illness, Elsie and Ina supported one another to a degree that surprised some of the other residents of the street.
See her over there.
You mean her on the trapeze?
Aye, her that looks as though she's going to go into orbit. She's had oxygen, she has.
Oh, she looks very poorly.
Ah, they often do when they've had a knock.
When they've had a what?
I know.
Oh.
Oh, but she'll buck up in a couple of days or so. She's having penicillin.
Oh.
This place stinks of carbolic, doesn't it?
Oh, it always does in hospitals.
I've come to think of it, they must cook in it and all. Well, have you got nothing to tell me?
No, nothing's been happening. It's been very quiet.
It's different than it is in this place. It's like living in a tram.
Of course, there's Elsie Tanner.
What about her?
Well, Len Fairclough's fixing a new fireplace in her kitchen.
And you say now it's been happening? By gum, them kitchen walls of hers could tell a tale.
Why, there's something going on. I mean, the whole street's talking.
Oh, well, it's a pity they've got nowt else to do. Mind you, I don't blame him. Once Elsie Tanner gets the rooks in, they've had it. She's no shame.
I hear it's a very nice fireplace.
It shows you. As soon as any fun starts, I'm out of it.
Well, we're telling you.
I see more in 5 minutes through my vestry window than you could see in a week. Mind you, she's had her eye on him for months, ever since Blackpool.
Oh, no, Ina, she went on that trip with Navy fella.
Aye, and he soon weighed anchor and all, didn't he? He wasn't as daft as he looked.
I felt sorry for him. Ooh, she's a wicked woman.
You know, she'll get put away at finishing, of course, the way she's been brought up. I blame her mother.
Hello, Mrs. Sharples. Are you feeling any better?
How did you get in? I've already had one visitor besides these two.
Oh, you needn't worry. I told the nurse I was your daughter.
You what?
We've just been telling Ina about Mr. Fairclough and your fireplace. I thought you might. He loves his work, does Len Fairclough. I brought you a present.
Oh, have you? What is it?
Well, it says on the label, tonic wine. Diluted, excellent for children, special for invalids, non-alcoholic.
Tonic wine.
Aye, well, that's according to the label, but that's not what it is according to me.
Eh?
I found an empty bottle. There's 3 gills of milk stout in there, and there's a bag of peppermints.
That support extended into other areas of life, and while it may have looked like interference to some, Ina was fiercely protective of those around her. On occasions, that protection was extended to Elsie Tanner. When Bill Gregory returned from sea and Elsie looked to be getting serious about him, Ina found out that all was not as it seemed and was determined that Elsie would not be hurt.
Bye. Having a bit of all right.
Have you had enough, then?
I couldn't swallow another bite, love.
Well, I'll just clear these things away.
Yeah, leave them.
What?
We'll do them together later.
Oh, don't be daft. You go and sit down over there and make yourself comfortable.
You all right, sure? Oh, that's good.
Didn't your last landlady feed you something?
Oh, it was all right if you happened to be a sea lion. You know, kippers for breakfast, boiled cod for lunch, sardines for supper. Oh, oh, oh,
You are a fool. You don't look so bad on it anyway.
You don't look so bad yourself, have you?
Oh, it's all done by mirrors, she said.
Go on, you've had a rough time on it, haven't you?
Oh, I wouldn't say that, no, you know. Round of gaiety every night. You get a bit sick of all them cocktail parties.
Now, come off it. It hasn't been easy with Linda and Ivan and now Dennis in London. Poor Elsie. What's the joke?
I was just thinking, you know, living on your own has its advantages. At least we know we're not going to be disturbed, don't we?
Auntie Elsie?
Oh.
Are you in, Auntie?
Yes, I'm here, love.
I've come round for that suit to Concepta Sense money.
Oh, Char, I've got it for you.
Hey, do you have a very big boat?
Well, I'm not actually in a ship at the moment, love.
No, but when you are, it's a big one, I mean. Are you the captain? And do they have a swimming pool and dancing every night?
I'm afraid it's no to all three, love.
Well, there's a girl at school, her dad's going on a cruise. She's swanking all over the shore then.
Ah, well, won't your mother be wondering where you are?
No, it's all right. Can you swim? Have you ever been thrown overboard?
No.
Look, I think you better be getting off on because I don't want your mother to think that you've lost the money down the grid or something, see?
Yeah, okay. Hey, have you got a girl at every port? All right, I'm going.
Well, have you?
Girl in every port. What do you think?
Do you want to know what I think?
What?
I think I'm very glad you've come back, Bill Gregory.
Oh.
Well, if it isn't me little darling, Mrs. Sharples back again. Don't tell me you've taken up do it yourself, Eddie.
Look, I'm not come here to make jokes. I want to have a talk to you. Gum, this place is as big a tip as ever. All right for firewood for life.
You wanted to talk to me, do you say?
It's a week's burning in that piece alone.
Hey, that's a good bit of deal, I'm not chopping that up. What about?
I go, well, whether you can find anything in this here muck tip. It's Bill Gregory, friend of yours.
Yeah, why?
He's a married man, isn't he?
Hey, now, you don't want to go around saying things like that, Mrs. Sharples.
Why not? I've never been afraid of the truth.
How do you know it's true?
Well, if it's not true, who's this Mrs. P. Gregory? You can save your breath for a start, because I know it's not his mother.
Not much point in me saying that, then, is there?
No. Well, it's not good to just be left like that, is it? What are you going to do about it?
Do? Well, like what, for instance?
Like telling Elsie Tanner, for a start.
Look, it's none of our business.
I thought that was going to make its appearance at some time or other. Well, I believe it is.
And since when are you concerned about Elsie Tanner, anyway?
That's got naught to do with it. I'll not stand by and let my worst enemy in for the sort of trouble she's heading for before she's stopped.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I want you to go round there and warn her what sort of a fella she's getting mixed up with before it's too late.
You don't always delegate jobs like that, do you, Mrs. Sharples?
No, that's just why I'm not going myself. I know I am thought about in this street, and I know what'll happen if I say out. I'll be the Aunt Sally for whatever happens. Don't tell me, I know.
Well, you better let me chew it over a bit, though.
Oh, think on. And don't let it take you too long. Because if out's to be said, it'll look better coming from you. Hello, Elsie.
Hello?
Here she comes. The best cook in Coronation
I
Street.
get it. You're only saying that because it's true.
It is. I mean, I've sampled it myself, haven't I?
Hey, watch it, Fairclough.
You're cooking, darling. That's what I'm talking about. You're cooking.
You fool.
Well, there's somebody enjoying themselves any road. Yeah, they make a grand couple, them two.
All is not gold that glitters. Just look at that Len Fairclough grinning like a Cheshire cat. It's quite obvious his promises are like pie crusts.
Eh?
It's all as the same. If you want a job doing, you've got to do it for yourself. Well, if he won't tell her, I will.
It's supposed to be funny, Mrs. Sharples, because if it is, it's just not coming off.
He's a married man. He's got a wife at home.
Get out.
We're not finished.
You heard what I said. Get out. Now there's the door. Get out before I chuck you out.
Shut up and sit down. I've lived in this street, Mrs. Tanner, a bit longer than you have, and I've seen a bit more than you have, and I've seen more than my share of this sort of thing, so I know what I'm talking about.
You know what I think about you, don't you, Mrs. Sharples?
I know what you all think about me, so I wouldn't be telling you this if it wasn't true, would I? I just want you to know what's what before he hurts you any more than he has done. I won't see anyone on this street made a fool of.
Go on. Keep talking.
Why the silence?
Because I'm afraid if I speak, I'll say too much.
What about?
Oh, shut up.
You better get it out of your system, whatever it is.
All right, then. Are you serious, or are you just stringing me along?
Serious? Of course I'm serious. You know I'm serious.
Well, isn't there a little etc. that you've forgotten to mention?
Yes. I'm married.
But you didn't have the guts to tell me, did you? Did you?
You never believed this, but I was going to tell you.
You're dead right, I don't believe you. Oh, it must be terrible for you. You must be suffering.
I wanted you to know from me.
Well, now I do know, that's it.
That's what?
Us. You and me.
Don't be so ridiculous.
Me, ridiculous. Listen, I know every detail of your boyhood ambitions. I know all the details of your teenage passions. Near a Wimberley bush, wasn't it? I can mention every name of every ship that you'll ever sail on.
All right, you've made your point. You didn't know there was a Mrs. Gregory.
You know I didn't.
Oh, Elsie, this is terrible, really. I don't know what to say.
No, don't make excuses. Don't sit there making excuses. Why couldn't you have told me before? It was a simple thing. All you had to say was I'm married, that's all.
I know I didn't. I can't help it. Who told you?
I heard, that's all.
Ben Fairclough?
Never mind who told me.
I'm asking you.
No, for your information.
I'm beginning to think you've known all along, have you?
What to say to me? What a time to choose to say it. You know very well that I didn't. I've never carried on with married men, but since I've heard about your little act, I wish I'd carried on with the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker.
Is that what you really feel?
You know it isn't. But at my age, you can't waste time fooling around.
Who was fooling?
Who was fooling? Honestly, Bill.
Elsie. What do you know about my married life?
Just enough to know that you've got one, that's all.
I should never have married her. Cat and dog hasn't been the word for it.
Look, I'm not interested. As far as you and I are concerned, it's all over and done with.
It's not all over.
Ta-ra.
Elsie, please, sit down and listen to me for 1 minute. 1 minute, that's all. We've been separated. We've been separated for quite a tiny bit. She goes her way and I go mine.
Oh, seems to me I've heard that tale before.
This time it's the truth.
Well, why didn't you divorce her?
I've thought about it.
But you haven't done anything, have you?
Who says I won't?
What we're arguing about. I don't enter into it. This thing's just between you and her, that's all.
Of course you enter into it.
All right, then. Stop yapping and start thinking. Now, then, I mean every word I'm going to say.
No, no.
I don't want to hear from you again or see you again until you've got this thing straightened out. All I want is this straightened out and properly. All right?
What are you looking at me like that for?
One day somebody'll cop you listening in.
Listening in? How dare you? I'm an interested party. Anyway, he's separated from his wife.
Oh, dear.
Elsie's still got wedding bells ringing in her ears, poor kid.
Oh, I had the bells at my wedding. There was 2 shillings extra.
I wonder how many more he's got beside poor Elsie. I'll bet there's a chain of them from here to Hong Kong.
Well, perhaps if he's separated, he'll divorce his wife, marry Elsie Tanner, and they'll live happily ever after.
Aye, perhaps they won't.
Would you get married again, Ina?
Me? I want to wash no man's doorstep, thank you very much.
Well, it's one view of marriage. A couple of years later, when Elsie found herself in a similar mess with nightclub owner Laurie Fraser, she was more than capable of sorting it out for herself. Nonetheless, Ina was there to pick up the pieces.
Come on, Elsie, open up, will you? Open the door, Elsie, come on! Open up! Oh, look, come on, Elsie, please. Now, look, why don't you 2 ladies push off? Go on, go and do your shopping or something. Push off!
She's up at window, look. You can see her through curtains.
She's opening it.
It's just like Romeo and Juliet, isn't it?
Well, what do you want?
Look, Elsie, I just want to chat.
I'm in no mood for little chats with you.
Oh, look, love, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, all right. Coming round here, making my...
Now, look, Elsie, it's no good going on like this. Now, look, Elsie, please, just let me in. For old time's sake, eh?
For old time's sake,
Yeah.
eh?
Oh, that's my girl.
Here! Your presents! For old time's sake! Here! Take them!
Now, come on, Elsie, let me in, will you? You've had your balcony scene. Now, let me in so we can have a chat. Now, look, you kids, clear off. Go on, don't watch the telly. Go on, get away. And you!
After all this time, he ought to try the back door. She mightn't like talking in front of all of us.
Why not? She's been public property for years.
Now, come on, let me in, woman, will you?
Don't you woman me, Laurie Fraser.
Elsie, just let me in. I want to chat with you.
You've nought to say to me that could interest me. No, do you understand? I wouldn't even let you step foot in me coal hole.
Now, listen, Elsie, if you carry on like this, you're going to have the police round.
Oh, really? Are you afraid of washing your dirty washing in the street? I'm not. It's happened to me before, you know. And if the police do come round, it might as well look down your club as well.
Now, look, let's just get the record straight.
Oh, no, you don't get your flashy clogs off my doorstep. Go and get.
Elsie!
I don't care. Look at him. Just look at him. If you're going to spend money in his club, you better see what sort of creek you're spending your money on. You mind your own flaming business and keep out of this tennis.
Now, look, get her in here, will you?
Don't you tell my son what to do. You leave my family out of this.
Ladies, do you mind after all? It is a private affair, like.
In a public street, look, if you want to do some hustling, go and hustle your pint-sized sponsors.
I'm not shifting. I have as much right in this street as you have, Dennis Tanner. I'm with friends.
Look at him. Anybody care to take him on? Anybody? His wife doesn't care. Oh, he goes out with as long as she gets a pin money.
Now, look, I've stood as bad as much as I can. I'm coming in.
Find some other street. You've got no followers here.
All right.
Well, haven't you ladies ever seen an argument before? I always thought you thrived on them.
It's all right, really, Mr. Fraser. You know, she just gets a bit overexcited. It's the blood pressure, like. The old man's up and she usually has to blow it.
I surmised as much. All spent now. Still, somebody had to pick up the bits. Where shall I put them? These are some you missed with. Pity there wasn't a couple of bricks among them. Give me a steadier aim.
Thanks for bringing them in. But you can just take them back and dump them. Dump them down them stairs to that sleazy cellar that he calls a club. Give him to Mrs. Laurie Fraser as a present from me.
Is that what you want? Shall I?
No. Leave them where they are. I'll pawn them one day and buy myself some new clothes.
I can soon get them delivered, you know.
Men, they profit every way, don't they? No, leave them. They'll convert to cash.
Well, you've done very well, I must say. Still, you were always good for a street row, same as me. Between us, we must have had more than all the folk round here put together. Well, you settled him. He scuttled back to his little cubbyhole to hibernate. Back to his spinning tops and his shove halfpenny and his twopenn'orth of lawful spouse. I shouldn't be sorry if I were you.
The only thing I'm sorry about is being such a fool. You'd think after all this time I would have learnt to ask a few questions like, are you married and things like that.
My husband always wore a ring and I saw to it he kept it on and all.
So did mine. Fat lot of good that did.
He was only a legalised lodger.
That's as may be. I've learned my lesson. It won't happen again. I won't get my fingers burnt again.
So you say?
I mean it.
Oh, no doubt you do. Until tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. You know, sometimes you think you'll be dead before you can turn round. Life goes so fast. There are other times when it goes on, and on, and on.
Elsie and Ina may have presented a united front when strangers were involved, but when it came to sparring between themselves, it was a case of no holds barred. In 1965, Ina had a windfall that was to give her an advantage over her long-standing enemy.
Oh,
Sorry to keep you waiting, Mrs. Sharples. Business on the phone. Hey, business. Hardly get a minute to myself these days.
Seem to have done all right out of it.
Work hard, play hard. That's our motto. My brother's in Majorca at the moment. That's why I'm seeing to you.
Majorca? Huh.
Now, Mrs. Sharples, it's hard work managing property these days. There's not a lot of joy in it, you know.
There's not much joy in living in it, neither.
We do our best, but it's a losing battle. A losing battle.
Well, if this is the sort of thing you get from losing battles, I wouldn't mind losing a few myself. What do you want me for?
What do I want you for?
Well, I didn't come here for the ride. You sent for me, you know, and I'm not one of your tenants.
Yes, I did, didn't I? I sent for you, of course. Oh, do you smoke, Mrs. Sharples?
No, I leave smoking to chimneys.
Yeah. Still play the harmonium?
Yes, I still play the harmonium if it's of any interest.
Lovely instrument, the harmonium. Lovely instrument. Abide with me, that's my favourite hymn. Abide with me, fast falls the eventide.
Serves its purpose.
Yes, indeed. Do you know, Mrs. Sharples, it was the harmonium that brought you here today?
Oh, I was under the impression it was a bus. Now, look, I don't play at functions of any kind, and I don't give lessons, so let's get that straight for a start.
No, you've got me all wrong. You see, it's rather sad what's brought this about. Rather sad.
All right. Let me have the bad news, then.
Well, you'll remember the lady on whose behalf I look after most of the property around your way, I'm sure.
Mrs. Briggs?
Mrs. Briggs it is, or was. She died a couple of months ago.
I see. Well, I don't hold much brief for landlords, but she was better than most. And she couldn't be blamed for all the things that went on behind her back.
Mrs.
And I still don't know what it's got to do with me. She left the mission years ago when she come to live in this ungodly area.
Yes, but she didn't forget, Mrs. Sharples. She never forgot. Very impressed with your renderings on the harmonium was Mrs. Briggs, which accounts for the little bequest she made in her will.
Bequest?
That's right, Mrs. Sharples. I'm sorry you said what you did about landlords a minute ago, because the fact is, you're one yourself now. She left you one of the houses in Coronation Street, just as a little memento, you know.
Oh, would you credit it?
Yes, but now we've got to be realistic about this. As I said before, it's not all fun owning property these days, especially for a woman your age. No, I'd hate to see you land up with a whole heap of trouble.
What sort of trouble did you have in mind?
All sorts of trouble, love. I mean, well, to start with, it's unearned income. Not that you'd be likely to affect you, I suppose, but...
Oh, and what do you suppose would be likely to affect me?
Repairs, upkeep, unpleasantness. Oh, some people can be very unpleasant. Can't seem to put themselves in your position.
So where do we go from here?
Well, now, I propose to make you an offer. Take it off your hands, you know. I'm prepared to pay you the market price. Market price, I said. Now then, £350 is the sum I had in mind. 350 and no worries. How does that sound?
It sounds all right. Sounds a bit too much all right, if you ask me. Which house is it?
Oh, they're all the same, love.
Oh, well, you're wrong there for a start. Some of them houses has got baths. Frank Barlow's old house for a start.
Yes, well, perhaps you have got a detail there. Any road, I've got a map here of the street. A bit marked. Now then, let's have a look here. There you are, there's Mrs. Lindy's. That's it.
Is that the house?
That's the one. And believe me, Mrs. Sharples, 350 is a very good offer. Now, I've got my checkbook here.
You can put it away.
Here, you're never serious.
I am, you know. If that's the house, I'm keeping it. Sorry I've got no less.
Oh, that's quite all right, Mrs. Sharples. How are things at the mission?
All right.
And Vera, she's all right, I hope?
Last time I saw her, she was.
Good. We don't often get asked for cherry brandy these days, you know, except on special occasions.
Judging from the dust on that bottle, I can quite believe you.
I beg your pardon, Mrs. Sharples.
I mean, that bottle's never had a wax since Oldham Road went up 2 steps.
You forgot your change, Ena.
She'll be back with it.
She were quizzing you.
Well, I wouldn't have to get my map and compass out to fathom that out, would I?
It's all fixed then, is it? Have you got the house?
I will have after tonight.
Which one is it?
Well, now that's anyone's guess, isn't it? Who do you reckon?
I don't know, Ena. Is it Mr. Tatlock's?
No.
Is it number 7 then, where the Hewitts used to live?
I'd be a right tater to take on an empty house, wouldn't I? You can take that look off your face, love, it's not yours.
Then whose?
Well, let's put it this way. When I've signed the papers and the house is legal in mine, there's one person in Coronation Street who'll be very glad her son's working, and there'll be no more trial marriages in my house, I'll tell you that.
It's a punishment. It's a punishment for being in arrears all my life.
What is?
Our new landlord.
Oh, yeah, I've forgotten about that.
I hadn't. I've a good mind to put all my mouldy sticks of furniture onto a handcart and trundle it round to the YMCA.
YMCA's for fellas.
Oh, you know what I mean. The other place. Why do you always have to pick me up on things?
What are you getting in a panic for? Any roach, she's not done you no harm yet.
Give her time. She'll think of something.
Yeah, such as?
I don't know, but she'll have something up her sleeve.
So first tip I had, I just got these slave bangles. Hey, listen to this. House is freed from control. Question 9. What rent is payable under a new tenancy? Answer. That is for the tenant to agree with the landlord and must depend on the value of the house.
So then I jumped in again and I got this toothbrush rack. Then he said, go on again, and I got this cigarette holder. I think I might start smoking again.
Oh, I shall have it all roads.
I thought Elsie Tanner had the whip hand.
Oh, we had that out with her when she started to batter at Wormel when he put the rent up. She hasn't got a leg to stand on. She left the house after July the 6th, 1957.
Aye, but she come back again.
Ah, yes, but that Mrs. Hardquake, you know, her with the bad leg, she moved in the meantime. Question 25. Which houses remain under rent control? Answer. Houses with rateable values of 40%. No, that's not one. But houses which become vacant and are then let are freed from control.
Oh, Ian, I hope you know what you're up to.
I don't, but I'm learning.
Oh, but you can't put Elsie's rent up, Ina. Live and let live.
Oh, well, if you're quoting, I'll swap you. Render unto Ina the things that are Ina's. Have you ever heard that one?
Wrap up.
Oh, wrap up yourself.
Oh, take it to a cobbler's then.
At this time of night, I'm going dancing. Yeah, right, Rafe, I'll be in this and all, won't it? Just about the only thing you can do in this is sand dancing.
Well, at least use a proper hammer.
I haven't got an hammer. I've got one pair of shoes. I've got one carpet tack. You would have thought at my age we would have moved a bit further up the social scale than that, wouldn't you, Mother?
Well, don't look at me. I'm just muck, I am.
Oh, stick, will you?
Oh, I'm trying to find somewhere to go tonight with Dot. There's no time at the pictures.
Oh, go to wrestling. Go playing roulette.
I fancy going somewhere where there's a lot of fellas. I fancy just sitting there and staring somebody out.
Well, the TA have got rifle practice on at drill hall, and there's a new shift starts at Slack Collier in about an hour's time. You should get your dragon and go and sign on for one of them.
Fat lot of help you are, aren't you?
No. Oh, don't disturb yourself, Mother. I will go. Oh.
Good evening. Taking in a bit of piecework cobbling, are you? You might put some steel tips on these for me while you're at it.
Have you got strong teeth, Mrs. Sharples?
Don't be cheeky.
Well, lend them to us for 5 minutes. I'm stuck for a good pair of pliers.
Ignoring him, what is it you want doing?
You want?
You want some repairs doing, don't you? Well, I'm prepared to pay me whack.
Well, that's very nice of you, Mrs. Sharples, but I can't say I know where to start. The outside lavatory, for a start, that needs pointing. It's dripping wet. It's just like as damp as a dishcloth.
I'll send Len Fairclough round.
Yeah, and then there's my kitchen. All round the sink, there's all that white stuff coming away like chalk.
And there's that door on landing that's warped. It's like an open drawbridge up there.
And there's something wrong with the front room fire back. A great lump of it came out the other day.
Aye, and there's all the new sash scores wanting upstairs. One of them windows nearly had me hand off.
Would you like me to build you a sunshine patio and a swimming pool, have 'em at it, and paper all your ceilings?
Them are all structural defects and they want doing.
Was I cribbing? Did I open my mouth?
You mean you're going to do them?
You give me a written list and I'll see they're done.
Well, don't go mad, Mrs. Sharples. I mean, sit down if you're not feeling well.
I'm feeling very well. I'm just making a rough estimate that when I've got these improvements...
Repairs, not improvements.
When I have got these improvements done, I shall be able to put up your rent by 20 shillings a week.
Just when Elsie thought it couldn't get any worse, Ina received another piece of news which would cause the two ladies to clash as they had never clashed before.
Hello.
Now, Mr. Swindley, I'm afraid our fears are confirmed.
What is it?
Closure? Yes, I'm afraid so. I wish you'd been at the meeting with me. You might have raised your voice with mine.
Well, yes. Gamma had prior claim to my time, I'm afraid. Mr. Papadopoulos is getting very touchy about my extramural activities. Has it been decided?
Yes. Gas Street Gospel Hall closes on the 31st. Fairdo Supermarket is interested in the site.
Tragic.
And that's not all. We merged the Glad Tidings and the Bold Street Mission. The committee feels that congregations are too small to keep both halls open.
Which one is to close? The Glad Tidings?
The committee can't decide. One of them will have to go.
Yes. Well, I think we should inform the caretakers.
Yes, I suppose so. You know, it's going to be quite a wrench. They might get very upset.
They might get very ugly.
Oh, I know what they'll all be saying. They'll say I'm being vindictive. They'd far rather hear of somebody doing something wrong than somebody doing something right. You've only to read your papers.
Well, what's going to happen?
Who knows? I
Well, you
don't.
can come and stop with me if you like.
No.
Well, you'd be very welcome. Charlie and Bobby wouldn't mind.
Thank you very much, but I've already got 2 homes. This by right of service and number 11 Coronation Street by right of law. I'm not taking charity from no one, least of all
it's
yours.
not charity, it's friendship.
All right, well, I've got another word for you, then. Independence, and I've a right to that as well.
Well, Mrs. Tanner's lived in that house for years, Ena. It's her home.
I know. But you can lift your roots and transplant them a lot easier in her age than you can at mine. It may even do her good.
Oh, it's very worrying.
Mind you, I don't expect her to lie down on it if I do it. Not Elsie Tanner.
Well, what can she do? It is your house.
She could take me to court.
Oh, Ena, do you think she would?
She might.
Well, what would you do, though, if you did give her notice and she did take you to court? Let her keep the house.
If I get chucked out of here and I make up my mind to go to number 11 Coronation Street, Elsie Tanner can start packing her traps. Because I will go into that court if it comes to that, Minnie, and I'll remind that judge about all the poor old women that are like us and thrown on the scrap heap. I won't even be ashamed to plead me age.
She's out.
That's all right. You can give her a message. You'll never get a shine without a bit of elder grease. Don't tickle it.
Mrs. Sharples, I must warn you that if you're thinking of putting up our rent, my mum's got a few tricks up her sleeve.
No, I'm not putting her rent up. I'm giving a notice.
Notice?
Notice to quit. I'm being quite fair. I'm giving her a full month to find another home. 1 month from today. You're getting polish on your suit.
Don't move your lips. She's over there in the snug.
Down here.
It's, all right, Mrs. Sharples. I'll pay for that.
That's very kind of you, Mrs. Tanner.
That's all right, Mrs. Sharples.
You know, I am glad you've patched it up, Mrs. Sharples. It would have been most unpleasant if Mrs. Tanner had actually ended up on the street.
Well, now, Mrs. Tanner might have known I wasn't serious until I give her a notice in writing.
Of course, that's absolutely right, Mrs. Sharples. I was only saying,
So would
actually-
you pass that over to me, please?
What's this, Mrs. Sharples?
Just pass it over to Mrs. Tanner, will you?
Mrs. Tanner, can you...
What's this, Mrs. Sharples?
What do you think it is? A birthday card? It's your notice. Official.
You what?
It's your notice. It says, take your hook out of my house, only it says it more polite than that. Shut on me. I don't care. You take on with me like that.
Hey, come on now.
Jack, send for the police!
Never mind about police. Get a bucket of water. That's all that separates dogs. No, it'll separate them two now, short of death.
Take your hands off me. Take your hands off me.
I'll take my hands off you when you stand still and listen to what I've got to say.
Look, this bag was a birthday present. It's not a plaything for any common harpy to go on.
What did you call me?
Hey, come on, please, somebody.
You're joking, Dad. This is better than that.
Well, Mrs. Tanner, she can evict you if she wants you.
It's just the mean, sneaking, underhand way she does everything.
There you are. There you are. Do you see her do that? That's provocation. You saw her start the physical side of this thing.
Physical side of you over that wall, you old bat, you bandy-legged old bat.
Bandy-legged me, bandy-legged what you call bandy-legged.
Come along now, Ena. You know you haven't had your pills
Look,
today.
I can go 15 rounds with this cowboy on a glass of milk stout.
No, come on, Mrs. Sharples. It's beneath you, this sort of
Oh,
thing.
it's beneath her, is it? I suppose it's not beneath me. I suppose that's the sort of thing I do, is it?
Oh, I never open my
If
mouth.
she took you out of your house, she'd be screaming round here from here till Christmas, so you shut up!
Listen, I'm an old age pensioner. I live on £3 a week. There's 20 quid a week going into that house. If your son wasn't like you, he'd have bought your house long ago. It's as big a spit as his father and that same summer.
Don't you dare bring money into this, Mrs. Sharples.
Who's never gone short?
Listen to me. I've kept that house together with work and sweat. I've worked, I've been mother, father, son, everything. I've looked after my son for the last 15 years.
Oh, yes, you've got to give her that, Mrs. Sharples. And it's not easy, you know, when there's no man in the house.
She's never been short of man in their house since Arnold took his up. Any more than Fanny Hill.
Get back up to your mission, Mrs. Sharples, as fast as you can before I really get me rag out.
Oh, bang the one out to get your boots in. Oh, so that's what you're going to do, is it? You're ganging up on us, or you? If they start anything behind my back, get them.
Oh, Ena, what do you mean? Get them?
I say you, Mrs. Sharples, inciting your mates. She's not strong enough to tackle anything.
I can take you on, you Mary Ann.
Yes. But her mates down this street are not above lobbing half a brick in the back of my neck while I'm engaged in conversation.
Look, Mrs. Sharples, it's me and nobody's army.
I've handled Tanners before, Mrs. Tanner, and I'll handle you again.
You try turning me out of my house, Mrs. Sharples. Just you try turning me out, and I'll come back and you.
Come back.
You're leaving me all morning down the stairs, under the staircase. You won't get a bit of sleep, Dennis.
Mum, your sprouts are burning.
Come in here, Dennis.
Great big mad Mary. I'll take you on my left hand if she starts
You
anything.
needn't worry, Mrs. Sharples. I never raise my hand in anger to a lady.
She's done it on me, Dennis.
You've
She's
got
done
things
it.
under control, ma'am.
She's done it on me. Look, come here. Look, I came into this house when I was first married. I had naught but a bed settee and a sideboard. Both my kids were born here. Call that in money terms if you can.
Oh, shut up, you daft clown.
Listen, Fly Pants, I don't need to do this, but if you're curious about my motives, then there's no reason why you shouldn't know. I wouldn't be doing this on you.
I didn't realise how much I missed. Tell me about it.
Yes, and where am I supposed to keep them? The dustbins down on the cross?
I've got some good suggestions.
What are the brick pins on the heath there with a bottle of Mets?
It's not so much you're chucking me at, it's a nasty, sneaking sly way you did it. You've been waiting for this day for the last 70 years, haven't you, Mrs. Sharp?
She's chucking me out of my vestry. She's chucked me out.
Well, what do you expect me to do? Cry for you?
Put your money where your mouth is, then. Go on.
I'd rather put my beer where my mouth
You'll
is.
have to move over. You'll have to move out.
If you want to move me out of that house, you'll move me in a 6-foot box.
Yes, and I'll do that and all.
Hey, well, wouldn't it be an idea if you moved in together?
You what?
Well, it were only a thought.
Mr. Swindley, I'm sure these gloves would move faster if we could keep them under 7 shillings, even a penny under.
Button your coat, student.
Beg your pardon?
We go to bring the good news from Ghent to A.
A?
Never mind, Miss Nugent. I do sometimes permit myself a literary flight under moments of stress.
What is it, Mr. Swindley? You've gone very sallow.
Come along, Miss Nugent. I'll explain on the way.
You two-faced old bats!
You'll stay here until we've sorted this thing out one way or the other.
Get off my sleeve, I've already sorted
You
it out
are
in
not
my
holding
mind.
me up to this sort of thing and then sweeping out on me.
Now, look here. You'll only move me out of this house when I want to go. In the meantime, go jump in the cot. You... My way!
Go on, Dr. Death.
Put me down! Put me...
Mrs. Sharples, you're too old for this sort of thing. Anyway, your flight's academic. The mission isn't going to close. Do you hear? You can stay in your vestry.
You what?
The committee has decided to close Bow Street mission. We shall have 20 more souls to look after next Sunday. You won't need Mrs. Tanner's house.
Won't I?
No, you won't.
Well, we'll see. Well, that's a you-see sense anyway. Now, look, you'll pay for this afternoon. I may not want your mangy house, but I'm still your landlord and I've still got the upper hand. What has happened this afternoon's not no help to you at all.
You're still my landlord, are you?
Oh, yes, I am that.
Well, you'll pay for that window.
That was her first big mistake.
You're on that, Tim Bob. The big un to take her in round 2.
Needless to say, they regretted it later and eventually made up, in their own way.
Aren't you going to tell me what's upsetting you? I mean, after all, that's what friends is for, isn't it? To tell your troubles to.
And for nattering other folk to death if you were out to go. I'd bring your cup over and sit down.
I think you're sickening for something.
Aye, old age. You know, it's funny, but once upon a time I used to enjoy it.
What?
Scratching Elsie Tanner's eyes out. I used to look forward to it. A screaming match with Lady Muck, and I enjoyed it more than the Queen's broadcast on Christmas Day, God bless her.
Oh, well, you had a right set too yesterday.
Aye. I made myself miserable and old doing it.
Oh, I thought you were in very good voice, Ina.
I laid in my bed with a splitting headache, listening to the Mount Zion chiming midnight, and my head thumping time to it, and I thought, right, Ina, lass, that's another Lord's Day come and gone, and a fat lot of peace and quiet you got out of it.
Oh, well, we're none of us getting any younger. When I go upstairs now, I have to have a sit down on the top step to get my breath. Of course, Bobby comes and sits by me. He thinks it's a game.
Wants to try street fight, and it's a game and a half.
Charlie saw me sitting there once, and he said I looked like Buddha.
Right, well, if that's being a landlord, you can keep it. You go to collect your rents, and it finishes up like wrestling in Bermondsey Baths. Do you want a job?
Eh?
You'll get paid for it.
Or doing what?
Collecting rents from Elsie Tanner. There's a shilling in the pound commission for you. You'll be quite safe she hasn't got it in for you.
A shilling in the pound? Oh, it's like divvy, isn't it? Oh, I won't lose my pension, will I?
I shouldn't think so.
When do I start?
Now, if you like. Go and ask her for this week's before she goes to work.
Now, Ina, don't worry. It won't be old age. It'll be the cold's got in your bones. It'll soon be warm again, and then you'll be back to normal. Blackguarding everybody. You'll enjoy it again, you know. Ta-ra, Ina.
Well, put that fag out and come down. Your breakfast's ready.
Breakfast at this time? It's not 8:15 yet.
That's when people usually have it, isn't it?
Not in this house, they don't. What's up? Couldn't you sleep?
No, you come to think of it. No, I couldn't. Do you want bacon for your breakfast, because that's what you're having?
Hey, how did you know I was smoking?
It stands to reason, doesn't it? As soon as you open your eyes, you reach out for a fag. I've heard that bedside lamp go over plenty of times.
Why couldn't you sleep? Guilty conscience?
No guilty conscience, no nothing.
What do you mean?
It's a story of my life, isn't it? Big fat load of nothing. Don't drip in on your bread.
What's the matter with you?
Oh, nothing. Skip it and go and sit down. Funny when you think of it, isn't it? 20 years ago. Totty Tanner, wedge-heeled shoes, black market nylons, and straight off to Burton Wood. The march of time.
Ma'am, what's up?
They wouldn't recognise me now, would they? No husband, no fancy man, nothing to look forward to. Just bawling me guts out in the middle of the road with an old woman. Just working till I draw me pension. I'll finish up like her. I'll finish up just like Ina Sharples.
Anyway, you needn't worry, because I found out she couldn't have evicted us, not without a court order.
Don't make much difference now, does it?
Look, ma'am, all this rowing and carrying on, it does you no good at all, you know. It takes it out of you.
Makes you think and all. All flaming night it makes you think.
I'm not much use, am I? All I'm good for's rowing with.
Oh, you. You're all right, love. You keep me young. If it wasn't for you, I'd go really bonkers. Oh, go on, eat it. It's getting cold.
I'm supposed to cheer you up, though.
I'm all right.
Oh, I'm not having a bet on that. You don't look well.
Look, it's all put on. Them all top show me. I'll go, you and your negligence.
No, I'll go. It'll brighten their day for them. I'm not proud. Whoop. There, that's supposed to cheer you up. Go on, lap your socks off.
Yes, sir.
It's Mrs.
Yes, Dennis, I know who it is. I've seen her before. Good morning, Mrs. Caldwell.
Good morning, Mrs. Tanner.
She's come about on behalf of...
What can I do for you, Mrs. Caldwell?
Oh, I've come for Ina's blood money. Only not if it's inconvenient or anything. I mean, well, I hope you won't get mad at me, but I could come back.
It's on the mantelpiece next to Dennis's nose sniffer.
Are you paying it?
Yep.
Just like that?
Just like that. Dennis.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Caldwell.
And will you tell your boss I want that window repairing?
Oh, yes, Mrs. Tanner.
Thank you.
Thank you, love.
Here's the money, Tom.
Oh, thank you, Dennis. Good morning, Mrs. Tanner.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you out.
How are you feeling now, Bill?
Oh, I think I've dislocated my spine.
Yeah, get plenty of meat pie down here. Feed your belly and your back will look after itself. That's what my Auntie Fanny always used to say, and she should know. She's 93.5 now.
Hello, Chuck. It's nice to see you.
Jack, it's the other one.
Now, don't panic. They'll ignore each other.
Jack, it is not safe having Elsie Tanner and Mrs. Sharples under the same roof. We've got our licence to consider and the furniture.
You want one, darling?
No, love. As a matter of fact, I'm taking a couple home for our Dennis is not well.
What's the matter with him?
He had his head on the gas oven when he was bringing out his jam sponge pudding.
Excuse me, Mrs. Tanner. I wondered if you could spare me a minute.
What for?
Suit yourself.
Jack, stop them.
They've done nought yet.
Well, I'm warning you, I shall finish up on daytime sedation.
You look a bit washed out.
You're no glamour push yourself.
Well, I thought you might be interested in getting a new landlord.
You what?
No, my pension won't run to it, let alone my nerves. I'm selling it back to for a lump sum to old Wormald. We get a bit of pleasure out of it.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm sorry.
Not what I thought.
Jack, any minute now they will be murdering each other.
I'll tell you what we'll do then. You dial 999. I'll stick my head through the door and shout for help.
Right.
Hey, pull me, Ella. We're pulling your leg.
2 milk stouts, please. I beg your pardon?
2 milk stouts, please.
That's all right, I'm paying for these.
No, Mrs. Sharples, this is my treat, and I said I was
Look,
going to...
I have come into the lump sum.
I don't care what you've come into. I said I was treating you. Now, don't let's start an argument, Mrs. Sharples. When all said and done, I'm paid.
Although these very public clashes between Ina and Elsie came to be expected by the residents of the street, there was another side to their relationship that wasn't so public. Ina cared about what happened to Elsie, but Elsie didn't always appreciate Ina butting into her life. For instance, there was that time Ina told her that Bill Gregory was a married man, not the sort of news Elsie wanted to hear. Nonetheless, there were times when Elsie knew that Ina meant well. One of those times was when Ken and Val got married. Elsie felt that she didn't want to go to the wedding, so Ina went looking for her.
Mrs. Sharples, what are you doing in this bar?
I've come to buy you a drink.
You what?
What'll you have?
But I think I'm all right, love, thank you.
I didn't notice you at the wedding.
No, you wouldn't, because I wasn't there.
You know, I've had you on my mind these last few days.
Me?
I think you think I spoke out of turn when I gave you that tip-off.
Oh, it's past history.
And I'm digging it up, eh? Jack! Gin and tonic for Mrs. Tanner and put it on slate.
On slate?
Well, you don't suppose I carry gin and tonic sort of money around with me, do you? I know exactly how you feel, Elsie.
Do you?
I know. It's a wrench. I felt exactly the same way when Mr. Sharples went, only of course in that case he wasn't going to Scotland.
Oh, well, where was he going?
Across the Great Divide.
Oh.
You know, it's a funny thing, but the only thing I missed about Mr. Sharples was that couple of lovely warm feet in the small of my back.
Mrs. Sharples, am I hearing her right? I never thought I'd hear you say something like that.
Some of the things I do think and never utter. You know, I know a good deal about life. People around here think I interfere. I never interfere, I only help. Now, what I want to say is this. You are in the prime of life. You are a full-blown rose.
Aye, and the caterpillars have been at me.
What you want to do is to get yourself a fella. A decent fella, mind, not just any sort of fella. Keep an air of mystery about you, and you'll be down that aisle before anybody can say anything about me.
Go on. I've got to keep an air of mystery about me.
Years later, in 1979, when Elsie fell in love with businessman Alan Howard, Bill Gregory turned up again, and Ina wanted to know why he'd come back.
Take a seat, it's not the lion's den.
It always used to seem like it in the old days. Maybe you've changed.
Well, I'm not the only one. 8 years, you know, is a long time. Well, I'll save a piece and then we'll be done with it. I've had my differences with Elsie Tanner, and I wouldn't speak up for most of her carry-ons, because most of them have been well-ended. But not the one she's got on now.
On what grounds do you say that?
The evidence of my own eyes. For the last week, I've seen that woman happy. And she's not a happy woman, as a rule. No, at the risk of sounding sentimental, it's brought her joy.
And you think I'm here to take it away without putting anything in its place?
You've come back at the wrong time, lad. Accept as much.
No, Mrs. Sharples. I can't, and I won't. I've asked her to marry me.
Why? To solve your conscience for what you did to her last time?
No.
Luke, you had to choose between her and your wife. Now you think you've chosen wrong.
Look, it wasn't an easy decision to make. I went through hell.
Yes, and now you're expecting her to do the same. You're putting Elsie Tanner into the same position. You think what you went through and then tell me if you could justify...
It's no good, Mrs. Sharples. I let myself be swayed once before. Nobody's going to sway me this time.
Well, you're a fine pair of mates, starting without me.
Plenty to go around.
You were hitting it off rather well with Elsie Tanner when I called around there earlier.
We're old friends.
Oh.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm taking her out tonight.
I don't think you two realize it, but in the blue corner we have Alan Howard. In the red corner, William Gregory.
What are you talking about?
You're both after Elsie Tanner.
So you're going, are you?
Yes, I'm going. That's why I've called for the luggage straps.
Oh, yes, I should have returned them when I come back from New York.
That's all right.
I'll root them out and bring them round. By heck, there's no knowing how much of other folks' stuff I'll find when I go through them drawers.
Thanks.
What's something else?
Mrs. Sharples, do you think I'm doing the right thing?
The first time you asked for my advice, last you were about 6, I'd given you a penny for going an errand, and you didn't know whether to buy a kale-eye sucker or a lucky bag. You bought the lucky bag in spite of the fact I told you it was a lot of rubbish.
And that's what you think I'm doing? Going off a bill as a load of rubbish?
Neil, as I'm saying now to sort, you'll go your own road regardless.
But I'm asking you.
People that ask for advice don't really want it. It's because they're not sure, and it's always very nice to be able to blame the person that's supposed to have given the advice if things go wrong.
You think I'm not sure, do you?
I'm sure you're not sure.
But he's not been near, hasn't Alan? He's not been near me at all.
Why? Would it have made any difference?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not, but he could have called just to say goodbye. He could have called. I mean, we're supposed to be friends. Mature people.
The only time you're mature is when you're 6 foot under, because by then you know all the answers.
Just passing. Thought I'd drop these few things in.
Thank you, love.
Right, well,
Oh, it's all right, love. I'm just off. Anyway, thanks for your advice. I'll remember what you said.
Advice? Said?
About the lucky bags.
And it'll be there, and you'll be able to... Ah, well, I better leave you and get off to work.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. How do you expect me to fasten this with it?
These any use to you?
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Sharples asked me to bring them round. She gave me a penny for going the message. She said something about a kale-eye sucker.
That's Mrs. Sharples for you. The soul of generosity.
Elsie, please don't go.
Now it only remained for Mrs. Sharples to talk some sense into Alan Howard, and wedding bells could be a real possibility.
Is something upsetting Mrs. Caldwell?
Oh, she thinks she's missing something. She'll recover.
Have you seen anything very much lately of Mrs. Tanner?
Yes. Nobody wants her for a sunbeam right now, do they?
You've known her a long time, haven't you, Mrs. Sharples?
There are others. Why call them me?
Straight answers, I suppose.
I suppose the answer to the question you want is, why has she changed?
Yes.
Well, before I start supplying straight answers, perhaps you'll supply the straight questions. What you really want to know is, has she changed because of you?
Yes.
Well, accepting that as far as the man is concerned, Elsie Tanner was born stupid, she's learnt now and forgotten that.
Well, that's a very sweeping statement, Mrs. Sharples.
Born of years of observation, lad. You say there were fellas as can't pick girls. Always pick the wrong girl for themselves and do it time after time.
Yes.
Well, Elsie Tanner can't pick fellows. Give or take the odd one here and there, but it's more good luck than having an eye for the right fella.
Am I one of the last category?
Yes, I think you might have been right for her. When a woman's been hurt as often as she has, suddenly lets her defences down, it's not a bad sign.
I'm going to have to mess the whole thing up.
She was wide open to be hurt. And whether you did it knowingly or not, you hurt her all right. Well, it's not the first time it's happened to her, but I think she's trying to make sure it's the last. And this, not bothering about her appearance. All she got when she did bother was a proposition from the man she loved.
Asked to come and live with me.
Marriage without benefit of clergy.
Doesn't bear the stigma it once did, Mrs. Sharples.
So I keep reading in the newspapers. Now, do you want me to answer you why she's changed, or do you want to dispute the reasons?
I'm sorry.
You let her down, that's what you did. The last of a long line of letdowns. And because you were all that much more important than the others, it made the letdown all the harder.
There for the want of a marriage certificate.
For not being the fella she thought you were. For being just like all the others.
Ina Sharples has got enough flaming tongue for 2 sets of teeth.
She means well.
So did Mussolini.
Oh, Elsie.
Oh, well, why all this fuss over me? You've got your life to live, I've got mine. And Ina Sharples has got everybody else's within a 5-mile radius.
All right. This is me, your friend, remember?
I'm sorry.
And friends are supposed to be able to say things to one another, aren't they? I mean, if friends can't say things, then nobody can.
You can say what you want.
Well, you know you look a bit of a mess, don't you? I mean, you've not done your hair at all.
I'm not going anywhere.
That's not the point.
Is that what you came round here to say, that I look a bit of a mess?
No.
What then?
Well, I'm beginning to suspect that you're enjoying all this drama that's going on.
If you think that, Mrs. Barlow, you don't know your friend very well.
Well, the first time round with Alan Howard, you said that you would have lived with him gladly if only he'd proposed first. Now he's back, wants to marry you, and you don't want to know.
It's not a game of now he will, now he won't, you know.
No, it's not a game at all. It's about you marrying a man that you were crazy about 2 months ago.
Marriage isn't the be-all, end-all, and cure-all of everything, you know. I've been married, and I know, twice I've been married. And I think I prefer Ina Sharples' vision of loneliness to all the risks you take when you get married.
Like what?
Like not trusting. Like walking out on you. Like ending up lonelier than you were.
Alan Patrick Howard and Elsie Tanner, having consented to be joined together in matrimony and having witnessed the same before this company, I now declare you are husband and wife together.
You told them, you're rotten.
I didn't. They told each other.
Who said you haven't got friends here?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know what that registrar fellow said to you today, but I'm going to say this. Speech! Shut up and drink your stout. If out goes wrong with this marriage, lass, I'll take you across my knee and tan your backside. As for you, I'll clout your ear hole. Any road, good luck to you both.
Thank you very
much. And Ina really did wish them well. Having known each other and been involved in each other's lives for so many years, it was perhaps inevitable that at some point these ladies would share a roof over their heads. This in fact happened twice. The first time was in 1961 when Ina left the mission, vowing never to return. It came as a bit of a surprise to Elsie Tanner to find that Ina was moving in with her, and as in the past when surprises happened to Elsie, her son Dennis had something to do with them, and this was no exception.
There you, Dennis.
Yeah? Hello? I'm back then.
Mm.
I went in corner shop and guess who were there?
Oh, well, I've 3 guesses. Your father, Santa Claus, or Bruce Forsyth. Look, lovey, I've had a lovely teletype dinner and a nice glass of port-type wine. And all I want to do now is to sit and soak my feet in silence. Do you mind?
Oh. I've been having a drink with Mrs. Sharples.
Oh, well, you're of age, I suppose.
She were asking after you.
Hallelujah.
She's a very interesting woman when you sit and talk to her, you know.
I'm very glad you think so.
Well, I were wondering, ma'am, if it wouldn't be a good
lovely,
idea...
I'm trying to make myself human again, or hadn't you noticed?
Yeah, I know,
Well,
but...
must you go on blathering about your jolly evening with Mrs. Sharples?
No, not
well,
really.
Well, belt up, then.
Ma'am,
What now?
do you never get lonely with 'em all away?
Whatever brought that?
Well, I was thinking I might be a bit young for company for you, like.
What are you blathering talking about? I'm not dead yet,
Well,
you
I
know.
thought you might like the company of an older woman, you know, someone more your own age.
I don't want any company, thank you. I'm quite all right as I am. All I want to do is sit and soak my feet. What brought that on anyway about an older woman? Are you in some sort of trouble or something? You are, I can tell by your face. Well, you needn't go expecting any help from me.
Oh, don't be daft.
Well, what started that conversation
Well, I
up
was
then?
thinking of you sitting here all alone, that's all.
Well, that's how it is, and that's how it's going to be, and that's how I like it. All I want to do is sit and soak my feet in silence. Thank you.
Ta-ra.
We're locked out.
Oh, no, Mrs. Sharples.
Your mother is in, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, she's in all right. It's just that I wanted to see her before we went in, like, you know.
What's the matter with her then?
Well, nothing really, Mrs. Sharples. It's just that she's a bit off tonight. Now, you won't mind if she says anything a bit funny, like, will you?
I'm not with you.
Look, it's nothing really, Mrs. Sharples. Nothing at all. But it's the sales, you know. Well, she's always like this when sales run. You know, she has a dead rough time. Her feet get trampled on in rush and all that. And, well, she gets home a bit moody sometimes.
Why didn't you say so in the first place?
Well, I wanted you to understand before we went in, like, in case she said anything that were a bit, well, a bit peculiar, you know.
I'm not above understanding, you know.
Oh, I'm sure you're not, Mrs. Sharples. And I know she'll soon get used to you once she sees how things are.
How what are?
Just things, Mrs. Sharples.
Look, are we going to stand here gassing all night?
Oh, no. Come in. Welcome to our happy home.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Well, all right, then. Come in. Don't leave the door wide open.
I've got a surprise for you.
Oh, well, I suppose all good things must come to an end.
I brought you some company. Guess who?
Andy Cap.
You're nearly right.
Good evening, Mrs. Tanner.
Oh, it's you, Mrs. Sharples.
Don't bother to get up. I've seen folk washing their feet before.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was soaking them.
Ah, they need soaking around here. Do you think comfort? That's what I said.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I won't disturb you.
Thank you.
Just make yourself comfortable, Mrs. Sharples. Sit here. Now, we haven't got much, but we're welcome to what, you're welcome to what we have got. We've got tea, and there's telly, and there's some biscuits in pantry.
I'd have known you were coming. I'd have baked a cake.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I pop outside first?
Outside?
Aye, outside. You've not been converted, have you?
I don't get you, Mrs. Sharples.
She doesn't mean you daft ape, but she means out there.
Oh, I didn't know what you're on about for a minute. I'll point it out to you.
Thank
Come
you.
on, this way. Now, you see, just there...
That one on the right?
That's... Yeah.
Come here, dreamboat. What are you up to?
Well, I just...
Have you gone completely raving balmy? Are you trying to give your mother a heart attack? The one and only night I can sit and have a bit of peace and soak my feet. What do? You bring that in on
Well,
me.
she were cold.
And you'll be cold and stiff if you don't get her out of here quick.
We have an obligation, you know.
To her, whatever for.
Well, you said so yourself. She did stand witness for me.
Look, just because that old bag goes straight once in her life doesn't mean to say that I want a neighbour in your daft apron.
First spur, you know, one for all and all for that and all that sort of thing. I mean, she did stand witness for me.
I don't think you know what you do mean. You're so twisted up in your mind, you don't know what you're on about. Now get
But,
out.
ma'am.
No buts out.
I think you're very hard.
Aye, that goes to show all you know.
Hey, why don't you try and make friends with her? I mean, you could have a real cool time when she comes back, you know.
Are you all right?
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of things in common, you see. She's got a little grandson, too. Your grandmother's for us kick-off.
Dennis Tanner,
I'm
watch
only trying
it.
to be helpful.
Look, in that half-twisted...
Hey, up, she's back. Hello, Mrs. Sharples. Back again. We'll soon have kettle on for you.
I've got a peculiar remembrance while I was in there.
Oh, yes.
You remember Winifred Broadbent?
I can't say I've ever had the pleasure.
Oh, used to live on Maudsley Street. Well, that was before she had her funny turn.
I know somebody else who can do a funny turn round here and all.
Remember, she was taken queer with Bert Leeming.
And who was Bert Leeming when he was at home?
That's what Sam Broadbent would like to know. It took 5 of them to bring her home. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Are you sure you're not loud enough?
Oh, yes, Martha, I knocked so hard I nearly hurt my hand.
Well, it serves you right. It's all your fault we're standing out here.
Martha, supposing Ina comes to the door.
Well, what about it? I've got nothing to fear. Hey, up, somebody's coming. It's us, Mrs. Tanner.
I can see it is. Come in, do. It's Liberty Hall and our Dennis is holding a benefit.
Oh, we'd rather not come in. We just brought Ina's bag. We thought she might be needed.
Oh, you've got Mrs. Sharples' bag. Have you, Mr. Tatlock? Told me you got it. Well, thanks very much, ladies. I don't think there's anything else you can do. I'll give you regards to Mrs. Sharples.
Oh, rather you not mention
Good night, then. Come on, ma'am. Good night, ladies.
Well, what do you think of that? Well, she were very short, weren't she?
Short? She were positively rude.
This is all your fault, you know. Ina's not going to like it there, you know.
Hello. I'm back. I've got it, too. Well, how are we all now, then? Wouldn't you like to go up to bed, ma'am, and I'll bring you a nice hot cup of tea, eh?
Mrs. Sharples and I have decided we won't bother with a cup of tea, so if you'll just give her the bag.
Your bag, Mrs. Sharples. Here it is.
Well, I don't know how you're all feeling, but I'm feeling like bed. Which room is it?
Dennis Tanner, which room have you prepared for Mrs. Sharples?
Well, if you... Come this way, Mrs. Sharples. I'll take you upstairs.
Good night, Mrs. Tanner.
Good night.
Come down when you've finished. I'll tell you a bedtime story.
That time, Ina stayed for only one night before foisting herself on the unsuspecting Minnie Caldwell. The next time Elsie played host to Ina Sharples was in 1980, not long before Ina left the street for good. By this time, the pair had mellowed and were much more tolerant of each other. Elsie was working in the cafe with Gail and appreciated being looked after, for the moment.
Afternoon, Mrs. Sharples.
Good afternoon. What's your ham like?
It's very nice, love. Quite lean.
Oh, right. Well, I'll take a slice. Right. Cut thick. If there's anything worse than lean ham, it's a lean chap.
Are you treating yourself, Mrs. Sharples?
No, I'm treating Elsie Tanner. Her cupboard shelves are that bare, I'll swear she lives on fags and coffee.
Have you moved in with her then, have you?
Under protest.
I think you'll be very happy together, Mrs. Sharples, you and Elsie.
Well, there's one thing. At least she did offer me a roof over my head, and that's more than anybody else did.
How's that, Mrs. Sharples?
Oh, that's very nice. I'll take it. How much?
55p.
Do you think of numbers these days?
We have to make a living, love.
Well, my husband used to say he couldn't understand why people had to make a profit out of food, and neither can I. There'd be fewer famines if food were free, and that's a fact. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Do you know, I think she sits at home thinking what wash-based little sayings to bash me over the head with.
I wonder.
What?
Well, if she did settle in at Elsie's, she'd make a nice little pal for Elsie, wouldn't she? We could swap crochet patterns and make each other cocoa at bedtime.
Ooh, do you know, you're evil, you are.
Stops you getting morbid, Al.
You've been here a bit, haven't you?
Since dinner time.
Yeah, I can see.
You've not had your tea yet, have you?
Oh, no, I can't face food in that cafe. With it sitting there looking at me all day long.
I'm an egg, suit you.
Oh, sounds fine. Not very good for my figure, though.
Does it matter at your age?
It matters at any age, Mrs. Sharples.
Right. Well, come on and get it stuck inside you while it's still hot.
Oh, lovely. After you, madame. Tar? Hey. That looks lovely. Did you bring it with you?
I've been shopping. It's better than starving.
How much do I owe?
Nothing. By the way, thanks very much.
What for?
Putting me up.
Oh, come on. I got bags of room. You can go in the back room. How's that? Okay?
Well, it won't be for very long.
What do you mean? You can stop here for as long as you like, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's see what you're saying in another day or two.
I wonder if a drop of brandy might help Elizabeth to ease this raw feeling on my chest. You know, this morning she thought thin gruel might do it. This afternoon it were a boiled onion.
I think you've been marvellous with her, Betty. Have you ever thought of being a nurse? Because I think you've got the vocation.
No, I haven't, and I'm not one now.
Well, I know who I'll send for if ever I have to take to my bed.
You can send for me. But I think the undertakers will be there before me.
Good evening.
Oh, hello, Elsie.
How's your new job going on?
Oh, it could be a lot worse.
Do you know, I didn't expect to see you two in here tonight. I thought they'll be having a nice, quiet night in front at telly. Either that or a good knit.
A gin and tonic and a milk stout, please.
Aren't you going through to Snug?
No, I am not going through to the Snug.
Just asking.
There's more room in there, you know.
We are not going in the Snug, Mrs. Sharples. We had this out before we came out.
You could sit on Martha's chair.
Mrs.
Hey, I thought you said you weren't coming in here, Elsie Tanner, under no circumstances.
Too fragile to fight with her tonight. I come in on one condition only. Yeah. If Albert Tatlock walks through that door, I walk out.
I'll walk out with you. Right, gin and the stout.
No, we'll have one of those whiskey all-ins.
Oh, okay, lovely. Okay.
Well, not for me so fragile as I was this morning. That bit of cow heel and beef was very good, Mrs. Sharples.
Well, I should be able to make it. I've been making it for about 70 years.
Well, it did me good. Put a lining on my tummy, as it were.
I told you needed looking after.
Only for now.
Oh, don't worry yourself. I'm going to stop in another couple of days.
Eh?
I'm going off to St. Anne's.
You can stop as long as you like for me.
Look, 2 or 3 days in the same house is all right. But after that, we're just cat and dog.
Or man and wife.
Well, the same thing, as you well know.
Hey, I love it. One whiskey all in and one stout.
Thank you, love.
Tommy, dear.
Come on, Elsie Tanner, let's be having you before this toast goes cold.
Mrs. Sharples, I know it's 8 o'clock. I don't have to be out till gone 1:30.
Well, you can sit down and have your breakfast and enjoy a good cup of tea. I would read you the paper if you like. Better than going out, dashing out at the very last minute. It's very bad for your varicose veins,
I haven't got varicose veins. I never read the paper in the morning, not till night time, so you can have it.
I read it an hour since.
Do you always get up in the middle of the night?
Well, I suppose it stems back to the fact that I used to have to get up for 6:30 for the mill. And then later on I used to get up and get with Alfred, get him off, but I liked him to have a warm breakfast inside him when he got out to work. And then, of course, lately, I've given myself the luxury of an extra hour in bed in the winter mornings.
Luxury? A wardrobe full of Italian shoes, that's luxury, not staying in bed till 7 o'clock.
For anybody who's starved, a bad orange is luxury, Elsie Tanner.
Will you tell me something, Mrs. Sharples?
I'll try.
The old days, the bad old days, why do you keep harping back to them? Because they've gone now.
Well, bad old days they might have been. There's no might about it. They were. Do you know, when the people next door cleaned their house out, they used to swill it out with a hose pipe. But they were the days when I was young, though life was hard. It was very sweet. And that's why we old people live in the past.
I hope I don't.
If you do, your memories will be a bit racier than mine.
I've only got your word for that, Mrs. Sharples.
Ina Sharples and Elsie Tanner, 2 people who could give as good as they got, not only to each other, but to everyone else as well. Nevertheless, there was an understanding between them that ran very deep. Each could rely on the other in times of real trouble, and that support was vital to them both. Not that either of them wanted to be seen needing support, but that's the way they were, fiery, independent and cantankerous, but most of all they were loved as 2 of the most vibrant characters in Coronation Street. Thank you for joining me in exploring some of the moments from Ina Sharples and Elsie Tanner's lives in Weatherfield. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to you joining me on my next visit to Coronation Street. Goodbye.